Hey, good evening, everyone. I know it's a little later than usual, but I want to just do a one-on-one here with my good friend, the world's most powerful gamer,
Mhm.
Hebot. Man, hey, introduce yourself so we could get this discussion going.
Yeah, yes, sir. Let's go. Let's discuss some of this gaming hypocrisy, this gaming lunacy, this gaming, how you call it, one-sided mentality that we have going on from the media to the fanboys
Mhm,
to the
mhm.
trolls. It's time to call it all out. Let's go. It's great to be here, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course, man. And the big news. It's actually been a surprisingly busy Monday.
Yes.
We're a
Yes.
little over a month. We're a little over a month away from the big Xbox showcase in June, and
Yes.
but today, and I made a video earlier celebrating the fact that finally these Western developers are away from the shackles of Square Enix, and to me, it's
Mhm.
still a great thing because for years I had to watch Square Enix. Hey, what's up, 100? Thank you for joining, man. But for years I had to watch Square Enix
Name it
throw,
100.
yeah, hey, yeah, for years I had to see them throw Tomb Raider reboot under the bus, my game of the year last year, Guardians of the Galaxy under the bus, Outriders under the bus, Deus Ex, a very good
Hmm.
RPG series under the bus, and thankfully they're away from their hands now. Ideally I would have liked you, especially Crystal Dynamics, since they're working on Perfect Dark. i
Right.
i personally was expecting them to go under Microsoft, but I forgot that Japanese companies, they don't work like that. So they went with Swedish company Embracer Group of
Hmm.
selling off their Western developers and IPs, and that's the important part. Is the IPs as well. So no more Deus Ex,
Yes,
no more
yes.
Tomb Raider. It's under Square Enix. So thank God. So I could really enjoy the next Tomb Raider when it's under Unreal Engine 5, and I don't got to read reports on how it didn't meet expectations, but somehow Final Fantasy 97. Oh, that's gonna get all the support in the world from Square Enix.
Hmm.
Um, and here's the kicker: he bought $300 million for them three studios and
Yeah.
the IPs.
Oh yeah. Oh
Now
yeah.
that was the crazy part to
Hmm.
me,
Hmm.
was the
Hmm.
amount. And to add to that, you know, in a I don't know, man, because in a world of the Activision deal, and these are two different monsters. Just a
Hmm.
handful of studios versus one of the largest publishing companies in the world. So please stop comparing them directly. Gamers and Xbox fans and I'll get on to Xbox fans a little later, who were saying some wild shit today that was getting on my nerves. But right now, the price. And as you brought up, and I'm going to let you speak in a minute, to
Absolutely.
break it down even more, there's no way in hell Square Enix was shopping around at when if they sold Tomb Raider
Hmm.
and those respective devs, Crystal Dynamics, great developer, Montreal Eidos, they had my game of the year last year, and Square Enix, I think it's called Square Montreal, I believe they're called.
Yep.
So, for $300 million in a world where Mojang was sold for way more, Rare was sold for almost as much. Hell, I don't like Sony, but even Insomniac sold for almost as much as those three
Yes,
studios.
sir.
I don't know what this might speak how little Square thinks about their Western developers or what. I don't know what it was,
Well,
but
I have a
Embracer
take
Group
on it.
got a
I'll let you know when I talk. I have
yeah,
a.
yeah, yeah. 1 second, but Embracer Group got the steal of a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
Great IPs, and you know what? The pros, as I said, no more Square Enix ruining these Western developers' hard work over unrealistic expectations. When somehow games like fucking Final Fantasy gets every pass in the world, even though that game peaked in 1997 and haven't been good in 20 years. And not only that, let's say that Sony does purchase Square Enix, for everybody
Hmm.
throwing that
Hmm.
one around.
Hmm.
Their value plummets. The IPs that I like from Square, it wasn't Final Fantasy, it was Tomb Raider, it was Deus
Absolutely.
Ex, it was Guardians of
Right.
the Galaxy, it was Avengers. Even though that game, that game had its issues, I still enjoyed it for what it was.
Right.
And it
Hmm.
was those games by those developers that I enjoyed for Square, not the Eastern stuff, man. But that's just
Yes.
me. But with that said, I'm gonna pass the microphone. I'm gonna pass the torch off to you because I want to get
Mhm.
your thoughts as well, man. That's why I brought you on tonight. Again, a little later than usual, but
Right, right.
if there's anyone whose input I always enjoy hearing, it's yours.
I appreciate that. That means the world to me, man, because I enjoy your input as well. Because you have a lot of coherent way of thinking and verbalizing and putting two and two together. You know what I'm saying? You don't just assume and jump the gun like a lot of these other younger guys do at your age, right? That are a little bit younger like you, even though you're not much younger than older than I am or younger than I am. It's a respectful thing, was what I'm saying, right?
Right.
To you, it's basically a nod to you and giving you your props. Um, so basically, there's so much to consume in this situation. There's so many pros and so many cons for me personally, probably for you too, because of you're an Xbox gamer, right? And you'll know what I mean as I go along. But I found out about it. What was that? 2 in the morning last night, because in Sweden it was already morning time. So that's
Mhm.
why they made the announcement. And you're absolutely right. The first things first, the deal that they just got with over 12,000 employers, over 150 IPs, uh, you know what I'm saying, that are well known, that have been around for years, that some done well, some not as well, but still are recognizable because of the name by themselves, is the deal of this century or this decade as far as gaming. Absolutely. You got to take into account Microsoft paid $375 million for Rare
Yes.
back then, almost 15 or 18 semi years ago, right?
Hmm.
So, in comparison to them getting all that, and Rare was just one developer with a few IPs, but remember, with the exception of GoldenEye because of the Universal owning it or whatever,
Yeah.
and I think it was one other one. I don't remember, but you know what I mean. This is the deal of a lifetime, which already, as soon as I heard that, I was like, red flag immediately. And what people like, okay, he bought, or even you unlimited, you're like, he bought, what do you mean? A red flag? What do you mean? There's no way in the world, okay? Please hear me out, everyone. There's no way in the world that Microsoft was given an offer to buy IDOS Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, or IDOS themselves have been around for so many years, have had lucrative businesses and partnerships with Microsoft. You got to remember, these are the guys that Microsoft helped did Tomb Raider 2, Rise of the Tomb Raider exclusive, and that they even went to PlayStation. If it wasn't for Microsoft, it would have never existed, right? They took the entire bill, they took the entire publishing, right?
Yeah.
They also paid for Avengers to have a second wind in life after it was considered dead, to put it on Game Pass. They paid to put it on
That's
Game
right. And like the Guardians of the Galaxy game, that
right?
had a boost as well.
Exactly. And then now they also paid for Guardians of the Galaxy. They also paid for the Hitman series when it was only episodic,
Yes.
which then they turned and did the whole game because the episodic one did well because they put it on Game Pass as well.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So Microsoft has a very, and then to top it off, they have a very good relationship with IDOS, right? Or Crystal
Hmm.
Dynamics, rather, is
Yeah.
right now concurrently helping the initiative to build the future project of Perfect Dark.
Hmm.
And you're going to tell me with a straight face, with the logic of a gamer, from experience, from all the years that we've seen so many oddities and so many crazy things happen, that you really think that Square Enix went to Microsoft, right, and offered them in an open window to try to purchase them, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
And Microsoft was going to say, no, we don't want that for $300 million, and we're going to get 12,000 employees, 150 IPs, well known. Like, you really think that they would do that?
No.
How does that make any logical business sense from that standpoint, especially when Phil knows that we need a game like Tomb Raider because we don't have it in our portfolio, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
that style,
We
right?
don't have that action adventure game.
That's in house. Yeah, we have it, in Rise and Quantum, but it's not in-house. You know what I mean, right? And we
Yeah.
don't have a game like, let's say, like a kind of like a God of War with that medieval style with the hack and slash, kind of like a beat 'em up at the same time.
Yeah.
We don't have those two genres, which they also can get with a company, right? Like the ones that did Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Monster
gonna tell me
Hunter.
they're gonna say that they're gonna turn their back on an opportunity to buy them, and they're not gonna go for it? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And keep in mind, yes, they're still in the middle of the process of the big acquisition with Activision. But a big acquisition like Activision, the government's involved because this is a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yes.
Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics is very small. They're a small blip. And and keep in mind, they said and they claim that they haven't been profitable, and that's why they wanted to get rid of them. But yet the Tomb Raider series, since they rebooted it, has sold 40 million units.
Damn. Wait, really? And
Between Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3. 40 million
wow.
units.
And Heatbot, as you say that, I think of how every time a new Tomb Raider release, they keep releasing the press saying that it didn't meet expectation.
Of course. And listen, the first reboot, part 1, on the 360 and PS3 sold 7 million between both consoles. That is a very good number, especially when people claiming that 3.3 with Spider-Man is an absolute success.
Right.
Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
That just doesn't make no sense. Now, what I also know is that they probably couldn't sell and throw the bag at Sony's way because Sony already has other properties that are big that are going to clash with what they had to offer, right? So what they figured was, well, we got to make sure that we don't give Microsoft the upper hand either, because they're very close with Sony. And I feel like part of this definitely has to do with something they might be you know, working on for the future, some type of partnership deal, some type of long-term exclusivity deal or something, because we still haven't seen or heard anything about the Final Fantasy VII remake come to Xbox when it was
Right.
supposed to be a 1 year time exclusive. It said it
Yeah.
right in the box.
Yeah, I remember. I remember.
It said it right in the box. We still didn't get it.
I mean, a while ago there was that rumor about Square, about the mainline Final Fantasy games skipping Xbox. I made a video of it too.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So that gives it more validity and it makes more sense now because you're seeing the moves being done like a chess game, right? Little by little. They were not going to give Microsoft the advantage, right? Because they know that if they got a team like Crystal and Montreal that just did the amazing Guardians of the Galaxy and the amazing Tomb Raider series, right? Because the people who did Deus Ex did Tomb Raider 3. And if you look at that game, go back to it, that game is fucking incredible, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, they're not going to give Microsoft that upper hand if they know that they can't pass it on to Sony, because they're a Japanese company and they're very biased. They always did it and shown it with their behavior. Because yes, they released all the Final Fantasies on Game Pass because Microsoft paid them to put it there. Let's not get it twisted.
Exactly.
That's why they're there. They paid them. Okay? Because that's another way that Microsoft invested and helped with Square, and that you would make you think that, damn, they have to have some type of good relationship because they've done all this type of stuff together, right?
Yeah.
Not with Sony, but with Xbox. So it don't make no sense to me. Now, on the flip side, Embracer Group, what's good about them is, yes, they have funds, they have money, but they're more like a loyal lawyer-based type company. They're, a multi-owned, you know what you call that when there's multiple investors that own you?
Yeah.
Like the way that Remedy is. I forget what it's called again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's off the top of my head.
I'm drawing a blank, but I said it not too long ago when we talked about it in the podcast. They're owned by multiple investors, basically.
Yeah.
But they're mainly like a lawyer-based type firm or entity. And so they own all these games. The good thing about it is the games they own are from a lot of very talented people from the years and that have done a lot of smaller, obscure stuff. And they're making it possible via digital, via physical. Plus, they're bringing out games that would normally not come out on Xbox, also on Xbox. For example, that game Evil West, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's from them. That's
Right.
coming out to
Okay.
Xbox, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Like Space Marines 2, Ultramarines 2, which is gonna looks incredible. The first one was incredible on 360.
Yeah.
It's
It
coming to
really is.
Xbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gungrave, based on the anime, that normally only came out on PlayStation, was also announced that comes out for Xbox as well this year, I believe, or
Yeah.
next.
Which is good
So
news.
that's the good thing. And the other good thing now is that anything that all those teams make, from Gex, if they want to make a new one, from Deus Ex, Tomb Raider, obviously. Um,
They got the Thief IP.
right,
They got
right.
some good IP.
Hitman, Thief, any of those IPs that they got from this point forward, they can actually still keep them, multi-plat, which is great, and they'll show these developers some type of appreciation, right? Where they're not gonna feel like all the hard work they put in doesn't mean anything because it doesn't sit and fit the standard of the Japanese developers company's mindset or culture or way of thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's why they're being underappreciated. But then the selfish side of me, of an Xbox gamer, is like, damn, this opportunity, at least for Montreal and for Crystal, they should have been, you know, marketed out to be bought by Microsoft, at least, in my personal opinion, especially since they have has helped them with those IPs to retain them and still have them around today. Like I said, because without Microsoft, Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider would never have been a reality, right? And then obviously them doing so well by putting Guardians of the Galaxy on Game Pass, and they said that it started to do better. And funny how as soon as they said they started to do better finding an audience, all of a sudden Square want to go like, oh, you know what? We sold this to this division. We don't own them no more. You understand what I'm saying? Unlimited.
You,
Hello.
hey, you can hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you before. I can hear you right
Oh,
now at the
okay.
moment, though.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Hey, NWO Prime, what's up, man? Hey, thanks for joining.
Hey, Prime
Same
brother,
with
what's
you,
going
Ados.
on?
Same with you, Ados X. Yeah, man. NWO Prime, man. He retired from the game and he enjoying life. So it's always great
Yes,
to
sir.
see him pop in.
Oh, what's up? What's up, my brother? What's up, Idols? That's Poseidon. That's my boy.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
he's been supporting all of us forever.
yeah, man. Yeah, I didn't mean to derail things, but as you were spot on. But you're absolutely right, man. The Tomb Raider series, the reason why we had Rise of the Tomb Raider, which was my game of the year in 2015 at the time, was because of Xbox, and that was a fantastic game. You
Right,
know,
right.
so but and it's weird. It's weird, isn't
Change.
it weird how these Japanese companies take Microsoft money, but when it comes to really doing business with them,
Like
they
business that
demand,
matter. I know what you're
yeah,
saying. It's
yeah. When it really
almost
comes,
like they try to act like, oh, we're blinded. We don't see Microsoft. Where's Microsoft? We don't see
yeah.
them.
Yeah, and like 100 said in the chat a few minutes ago,
My
Microsoft ain't,
brother.
yeah, 100 said a few minutes ago, Microsoft ain't buying anything until the Activision deal goes through, and I don't know if that's 100% true, and the reason
Well,
I say that,
like I
well, hold
said,
on,
those big. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What I was trying to say before, I don't know if you heard me, Andre,
yeah,
is that those big acquisitions with companies that big,
hmm
because they're multi-billion dollars. Obviously, they take a while because they have to go through the government, do a lot of processing and paperwork, whatever. But with something like that, that was, I mean, $300 million is nothing in comparison, right? It's
yeah,
very small, and plus those companies and developers, they're not considered behemoths like Activision with the Call of Duties, or the Bethesdas with the Fallouts and the Morrowinds. You know what I'm trying to say?
yeah,
Or 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 here's a thought, real quick. Square knew that they wanted to, you know, market out to sell, and they knew since Microsoft was tied up with the whole Activision thing, they
Mhm.
couldn't make a bid. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And outbid everybody else because it's about the investors.
Yeah.
The investors want to want the biggest pot that they see. And if the investors would have saw that Microsoft made the highest bid, they would have told Square, no, you got to sell to them. You get what I'm
Right.
trying to say?
Right.
Because that's how it works. It's based on the investors of Square Enix.
Yeah.
So it could be that also because they know they're tied up with that, they couldn't really make a deal or make a move or make an offer.
Hmm.
I could believe that too, but I don't really think that's the case. I think it just legitimately is. Square did not go to Microsoft because they don't want to give the upper hand to Xbox. They're
Right.
very Japanese centric, Japanese nationalistic. They showed it with their actions, with Forspoken, with Final Fantasy, with all these deals that and ramblings that they're saying that for the future, no other Final Fantasy game is going to come to Xbox. The next one, Final Fantasy 16, is supposed to be exclusive
Yeah.
to PlayStation 5 again, right?
Hmm.
So, and it would not be surprised me either if they sell to Sony for very cheap. Like they'll be like, we're part of Sony now. Sony owns us, and sell for like the same amount, like 300 or maybe 500 million. It would not
Yeah.
surprise me.
Yeah. I mean,
It
if
won't.
if they do that, man, big deal. I mean, because they just lost their best developers. So,
Yeah, yeah, you were right in the
and I
beginning.
know, yeah, and I know the gaming world is going to pretend it's bigger than the Activision deal, which it's
Oh
not.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not even
for sure,
close.
for sure.
If that happened, but still, I mean, Tomb Raider. Those were the games that were that I cared more. Not and I know 100. He as you said in the chat, he liked Final Fantasy. So I'm not gonna hate. I'm not gonna hate on what other people like.
No, no, of course not,
Uh,
of course
I mean,
not. But
it's just
what
different.
you said in the beginning of the show, when you opened it up, you were 100% right.
Yeah.
Square is a former shadow of its former self. Their IPs that they had from back in the day and what they were known for were things like Legend of Dragoon, right? Chrono Trigger, right?
Yeah.
Even the Final Fantasy series, big RPGs, but and obviously the Disney Kingdom Hearts, but Disney owns a big portion of that as well of that IP. But those were their former days. They're not the way, and they're not the Square Enix of those days. You see what I'm saying? And they haven't been for a very long time. So most of their appealing games and games that had the best quality, you're absolutely right, were the ones that were from the Western Division, like the Tomb Raiders, like the Hitman, like the Thieves and the Deus Ex or Deus Ex, right?
Hmm.
So you had a great point, and I wanted to say that because I know what I understand, and it's not to downplay whoever likes Final Fantasy. I like Final Fantasy 15. I think it's dope. I think it was cool, and I like the new one that came out from the Ninja Team Ninja that they did. It's called Shadow of Paradise, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna sit there and lie and say that that game is in the same quality of a Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, or the Tomb Raider, Shadows of the Tomb Raider, because it just isn't. When you look at it and play it, they look dated. They look like they're using engines from the 360 era when it first started in the very beginning.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're not gonna sit here and fool ourselves and kid ourselves. No way that those shits are the same quality or the value of quality. Just based on graphics alone, or based on the character design, animation,
Hmm.
story, the performances of the actors with the characters. You could tell that that shit is just very dated, hardware and very dated engines and a very different dated structure that they use for those games.
Let me give you an example. The game that just came out a couple months ago, Final Fantasy: Strangers of Paradise. I
Yeah,
bought
that's
it.
the one I was talking
You
about.
know, I bought it. Yeah, I bought it because someone recommended it to me. Said, "Hey, man, it's a fun game. It's a hack and slash. It's not turn
Mhm.
based." I'm like, okay, okay, I could enjoy that. And when I played it, the game, it looked like it's a generation behind from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
And
The only appeal
to
that I
me,
had with that was that it was Team Ninja who did it, right?
yeah,
But even then, you could still see that the either either the purse is not there, like is not, the funds are not there, like it's not
mm-hmm.
a game that they spend, let's say, $100 million on. You could see it right off the break, right? You could tell that the budget's not that big, and you could tell that they were just doing the best they could with what they had. But it's not a game that it looks and feels mind blowing to today's standards. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, and then compared to Guardians of the Galaxy
Hmm.
from another dev, well, now they're former dev under the same umbrella, you know, and that game it looked incredible. I mean, like I said in my review, I thought I enjoyed the game more than both of the movies. That's how well they killed it, right? And so that now that to me their best developers are away from them, it really just I mean I'm happy because I got sick and tired of seeing Outriders and Deus Ex and Tomb Raider, which apparently sold 40 million as a trilogy, and Guardians of the Galaxy never meet expectations, goes to Game Pass. Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy has great success, never meet expectations, and all this other bullshit being thrown under the bus. And so that's where I'm excited. You know, ideally, I would have loved if Microsoft picked them up, but that's not the world we live in. You know, and I do want to pivot to this. You know, I've seen a lot of hot takes. I've seen a lot of stupid reactions he bought. And the big one that I saw today, and I even saw from so-called Xbox fans saying this shit, was that the Activision deal is looking like a mistake. They're hogtied. They can't buy anything anymore. They got the rug pulled under them from Embracer Group. Now
Yeah.
Sony's going to swoop in and buy WB, and it's like I don't understand how Microsoft is damned if they do, damned if they don't. Sometimes, but it's objectively false. I don't know where these fucking Twitter business experts come from, Ebot. But for some reason, these dudes always seem to know more than all these companies, all these successful companies, and I don't get it, man. Can you
Well,
make any sense of it?
I mean, it's definitely a hot take because, like we said earlier, first of all, the amount of money that Call of Duty by itself makes, even though it's been on the decline, okay? Because yes, we are aware it's been on the decline according to them. Even though it's been on the decline, Call of Duty has made more money than anything Square Enix has released in the last 15 to 20 years.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? So
Absolute
that
facts.
alone, right there, is the reasoning why the acquisition for Activision is much broader and bigger in scope, because you got to consider or take the consideration that they also now got other active IPs that have a second wind in life that people are now paying attention to, such
Mm-hmm.
as the Crash Bandicoot, right? Or the Spyros, right? Because now they have a new life. People are reinvesting because they made new games and things of that nature, plus all the other things that Activision has had through the years, because they had a lot of good developers that they actually closed down and
Yeah.
dedicated them to be only on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
To it's based on the numbers, basically. The
Right.
numbers will tell you why it's not an L, because it's just you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company versus a company that's not nowhere near as big,
Mm-hmm.
like Square, right?
Yeah.
According to them, the shares that they were making from those, the intake shares, what they were profiting from those games that they sold today apparently was
Mm-hmm.
only 1%.
Mm.
Could you believe that? 1% of profit that they were getting from those games from Avengers, let's say Guardians and Tomb Raiders, according to them. I
Damn.
don't see how that's possible because their other games sell much less and cost
Mm-hmm.
much less for them to make, but yet
Mm-hmm.
they consider it a profit. It's only when it's an American game that it's not a profit. So I don't know how that works, but I call BS. But then again, who knows? It is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that hot take, I don't. It's look. people just want to say, people just want to say or love saying that it's an L for Xbox because they know that it's not an advantage for Xbox. Because, like I told you earlier, had Xbox picked these guys up and purchased them, now they have the talents of Guardian of the people who made the Guardians of the Galaxy, from the people who made Deus Ex or Deus Ex, from the people that have made the Hitman series for so many years, and obviously the Avengers, which before that was Tomb Raider, because Crystal had made all the Tomb Raiders before Avengers. And the
Yeah,
Avengers game, let's be honest, the only reason it was the way that it was because this was something that Square Enix told them to do to make
exactly.
it a
Um,
pay as you go kind of like a a loot crate and looting type system like Destiny
and
because
instead
it was popular.
Yeah, exactly. It should have been something similar to like Guardians of the Galaxy,
It should have
maybe,
been like
or or,
Guardians with co-op.
or like the Arkham games or open world stuff.
Right.
Like imagine if it was like an Arkham game where, or even like keep for example in the game there's this it's cool how the map you could go to different parts of the U.S. They could have kept that, but they could have opened up the world more. It shouldn't have been always online neither. That's some bullshit. That
That's
game,
another. That's right. That's another thing, right?
yeah,
But these were
yeah,
all demands that were made by Square. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's
yeah,
keep it 100 because people don't try to blame Square for that either. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
They
exactly.
try to play the blind eye, like, oh no, it's their fault. No, motherfucker. Square was the one making these demands because they wanted to capitalize like they did, people did with Destiny, Warframe, and things like that, because they wanted to make that type of style and structure. And that
Yeah,
doesn't work for a fucking superhero game of the caliber of the Avengers.
yeah. And the Avengers are extremely popular. So
Mhm.
it was a game that should have never had the falls it had. Like again, I enjoyed it for what it was. It has some solid gameplay. The game looks incredible too. The graphics are top notch, and it runs extremely well on the Xbox Series X. But at the same time, then it focuses on the loot box. It could be way too repetitive. The always online stuff doesn't work, and it just feels like such a corporate mandated game that it's clear it was clear that Crystal Dynamics was handcuffed poorly, right? And so you look at that, right? And that let's see. Hell
And
no,
you hear,
Avengers is great as online game. I understand that vodka, but as somebody who don't always have time to just sit down and play games
well,
online,
well,
something like the Avengers,
what the problem with the Avengers being online always is you couldn't enjoy an actual campaign offline.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying? That it's not saying that it's bad for the game itself as a team-based game. Is if you want to play that game offline, you really can't
hmm
because it's always online. Just like they did with what the fuck was the other game that I was like, no, 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 this is not gonna work. Or like the Gran Turismo, the Gran Turismo 7.
oh yeah,
That's why it failed because it's always online. You can't play it offline. You know what I mean? So Avengers, that structure works for some people. People enjoyed it, but the game is more mass. Like it has a more mass appeal to like casuals as well, right? Most casuals don't are not gonna like the structure of something like Destiny. You see what I'm trying to say?
hmm
Especially when it pertains to a Marvel Avengers game with all these teams. Remember, with all these characters that's supposed to be in there that are not even there due to licensing or whatever, or even like the bullshit they did with Spider-Man, or even all these other bosses and shit like that. Right?
yeah,
They added a bunch of robots in the game when there's a whole bunch of characters that they can add, which they couldn't do because of the structure and style of the game, right?
right,
So for event, the people that liked it because they like games like Destiny, I understand. But for the masses, because it's such a broad IP, they're not going to appreciate it. So that's why it made more sense to do it
hmm
like the Guardians of the Galaxy, like the Arkham games, but maybe made it co-op online. You see what I'm saying?
right,
Um, and it would have had a better success and not as much backlash. It's still a quality game, don't get me wrong, but I would have preferred for it to have been more like level based or maybe open map
hmm
with sections that connect that feel like separate levels and then they all connect together cohesively. as opposed to what they did with the game the way it is now, right?
Right.
Um, but that's also it's also a matter of taste and opinions with gamers that play all types of different games because gamers like us will like it that way. But again, somebody like our brother Vaca might enjoy the way it is, the way it was like the Destiny structure. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's not that we're saying that you're wrong because you're not, because it's your taste, right? And we respect your taste. It's just saying that for it being it's like saying making a Mickey Mouse game that all little kids are gonna really enjoy, right? Or making
Mhm.
a game based off something very popular like Minecraft and make it only a certain way where only certain type of kids can play it, but not everybody. You know what I'm trying
Right.
to say?
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes perfect sense.
That's what I'm really basing it or talking about. So, it's like it is what it is, but you're right though. But it's a shame because again, like I said, because you see the hypocrisy, just like we talked about it, maybe you bring it up later on, but just like we talked about how no one automatically started saying, oh, this is a monopoly, when
Yeah.
now the Embracer Group owns over 130 different developers.
Hmm.
But it's not a monopoly. But had this been Microsoft, you best believe, without a shadow of a doubt, the first thing they would say, oh, Microsoft, Monopoly, how dare they? On top of the Activision, we definitely got to do something. And you would have seen all these freaks and weirdos trying to tweet out the president and shit to see if he get involved. And shit, you know how that is, you know?
Oh
But the
man.
real reason why you see even on the Xbox side people acting weak is because the way they're looking at it is, oh, well, we don't have our Tomb Raider developer, like I was telling you earlier, because we
Yeah.
don't have a team that does action adventures like Tomb Raider that's internal to make internal games for us. We need that. The same way we need a hack and slash, a la let's say God of War, because
Yes.
those are two of those type of genres that is missing from the Xbox portfolio from the in-house team,
Right.
right? Just like Sony don't have a racing team, Sony don't have a fighting team that we do as far as IP, but we don't have a developer to make the new Killer Instincts, right?
Right.
And that's
Right.
why it hasn't been announced because they're looking for a new developer. Things like that. You know what I'm trying to say? So,
Yeah.
so that's why you see people, oh, that's stupid. This is an L, because they know that they don't want they know if Microsoft would have acquired them, like I said, Team Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, that they would have now had a new advantage in their portfolio that they always like to throw in the face of Xbox fans because Sony has them and we don't, where they make
Yeah.
those single player action adventure narrative heavy games. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Right.
they know that.
Yeah. Right. And let me make 2 points, T-Bot. The
Yeah.
first one is for everybody that thinks Microsoft is done acquiring stuff, is handled, they're handcuffed and all this stuff. Guys, about a week or two ago, they literally have job openings for people whose job is specifically to make acquisitions. And
Yeah.
and in a commercial or an ad or something like that, they even said they weren't done acquiring stuff. So
Yes.
let's chill on the hyperbole that acquiring Activision was a mistake and all these other weird hot takes I keep seeing. As as
Yes.
a, as is Activision Blizzard don't make some of the most profitable and popular games ever. And the second point
Yeah.
I want to make,
No, no. It's a
it,
good point. But
yeah,
again, to just add to what you're saying, again, Microsoft, okay, what's to say, like I said, it could be like 100 said that because they're in the middle of acquiring Activision. Yeah, maybe they can't do another acquisition, but I think that all depends about the size of the team. If it's a big team, then I don't see them being able to do it. But if it's a smaller developer team, I think they're able to do it because it's not clashing with that other investment or that other acquisition. Um, but this can also mean, what about if this also means that they're already in talks that once the Activision acquisition is done, that they're going to do the acquisition with Ubisoft because that's also going around that they're fishing in the market to be bought. You see what I'm saying?
right.
They very much well could buy Ubisoft because they have the purse and they have the relationship. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So maybe that's why they held back, because they're trying to spend a big amount again with somebody like Ubisoft, right? Or maybe that other rambling about, WB, such, trying to sell out their developers with making certain deals with certain IPs, is also could be a possibility that Microsoft's trying to buy somebody like, I don't
Yeah.
know, Rocksteady, right?
Right.
To
Right.
make the next Batman exclusive, since we don't have a superhero game exclusive from Marvel, right?
Right. Exactly.
Or to make the next Justice League game exclusive, or to make the next Suicide Squad after the one that's coming out next year comes out, maybe the sequel will be exclusive because they acquired them, or whatever the case may be, or even Gotham Knights 2 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, it's possible that maybe that's why they didn't do it, because they might be doing other acquisitions
Yeah.
on the side from these other rumors that have been coming around, right?
I mean, he bought man. For some reason, I don't think people understand that no company can own every fucking thing.
Absolutely.
I
No,
understand that
no.
Microsoft is one of the top three biggest companies in the world, right? I
Right.
understand, and they got pockets for days, but even they can't buy up everything, and, right?
Right.
So, and the second point I want to make, um, was about the monopoly shit.
Yes.
Like Vodka said in the chat, Embracer owns 45 to 50% of the market. All right,
Yes.
and not a single soul has said that's a monopoly. But Microsoft,
Absolutely.
who after the Activision deal goes through, will own 10%. Somehow that's a monopoly, right?
Yeah,
Somehow
but
that's the word.
that's Vodka has a very valid point. That's what I said. They own over 130 developers.
Yes.
They own over 130. And they bought them. They didn't steal them. They didn't do nothing shisty. They bought them flat out legally. But no one is, oh, it's a monopoly. How dare you? No, because it's not Microsoft, like you said earlier in the chat. If that would have been Microsoft, even sniffed it, if they would have even sniffed the name or even whispered it about Microsoft bought Crystal Dynamics from Square and all the American developers, forget about it. That's all you would have saw today, was
Hmm.
130 different YouTube videos, articles, and tweets
J-
by the hundreds of
yeah.
how dare Microsoft monopolize the industry.
Jason Schreier would have been asking for the president to stop it. Making
Exactly.
Bloomberg articles. I think he's at Bloomberg. I forgot what
Yeah,
publication
yeah,
he's
he
at.
works for Bloomberg.
Yeah,
He
making
definitely does.
Bloomberg articles
Somebody did a
about.
hysterical meme. Did you see it, where they put him with a big Kool-Aid smile when it's Sony making an acquisition, or someone else, and then with him with the serious face with the
Yeah,
glasses where he looks like he's
yeah,
dead? It's a Microsoft acquisition.
yeah. I did see that. Hey, but that sums it up perfectly, man. Somehow, every entity in gaming gets a pass except Microsoft, which is scrutinized by the teeth, even though it don't make sense. Oh yeah, let me add this to what you're saying earlier about Microsoft potentially getting the WB and stuff. That's another thing. We don't know what these companies are working on. Because again, not a single soul predicted this move today. Square Enix selling off their Western dev to Embracer Group. Not a single soul predicted Bethesda. Not a single soul predicted Activision. They don't, and and all these guys, Jeff Grubb and all them saying, "Oh, Sony's acquiring something big." They don't know shit. They don't know that. Sony. Have you seen Sony stock? It plummets every fucking month. Damn, it seems like so we're not going to sit here, right, and pretend that these companies aren't working on something right now. As we speak, Phil, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, and the rest of the Xbox crew are making deals that we don't know about, that we're going to learn in months or years from now, uh and all that, right? So that's another point I want to make. And like Bob could here say, Jason Schreier would have called the National Guard. Exactly, man. Exactly. He would have tried to do everything in his power to put a stop to Microsoft. Did that, but somehow Embracer Group owns 45% of the market. Not a monopoly. It's not because to be a monopoly, you got to own what, 90% of a market and all that shit. So it's not, and it's not going to happen. There are just too many big boys in the gaming space in general. But it just shows how nobody knows what the meaning oh my God, look at this. Sony is acquiring a lawsuit. Good one, Vodka, man.
Vodka stupid, vodka stupid. Give me a
Yeah.
minute. I'm talking with my boy real quick. Give me one
Oh,
minute,
okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, that's a good one, Vodka. He said Sony acquiring a Hey, Reaper, what's up, man? I almost missed you. I almost missed your comment. And say what channel. Hey, I'll say this. I always said this, man. You guys in the chat are some of the smartest dudes I know. I got nothing but love and respect for all y'all. 100, Reaper, Channel, Vodka, Ados, all you guys, man. So yeah, Reaper out here saying, I'm sure we let Square out to take over. Some of the games can remain multi-plat. Yeah, yeah, you got a good point there. You got a good point. And Channel says Sony is good at acquiring lots of debt. Yeah, that's true. Their debt ain't pretty apparently. So I can't argue with that, man. I can't argue with that at all. And yeah, so Reaper. Hey, 100 man, you a fool, man. You a fool, man. I swear, you guys are hilarious. You called him PP Reaper. God damn. Oh man, I love it. I love it. But yeah, man, once T-Bot comes back, we'll start giving our final thoughts and wrap things up. Cause it's getting kind of late, you know. It's getting kind of late. And T Reaper said, because if we leave Square, Ubisoft and WB would be the ones up for grab. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'd much rather have Ubisoft with Splinter Cell, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, the other Tom Clancy games, and all that other stuff over Final Fantasy or WB. Yeah, and especially if they could get those WB IPs. I mean, WB got some great IPs. I don't think they have Lord of the Rings anymore. I could be wrong, but if they do, that'll be even better. Harry Potter's your James. Oh, there's a James Bond being developed, isn't there? Your James Bonds and all that, and of course, as a DC fan, the DC IPs, man. If Xbox ever had a superhero game and it was exclusive and it was DC related, see, I'd die a happy man. Let's put it that way. I'd die a happy man. So yeah, yeah. I mean, we're in weird times as in gaming, right? Where consolidation is a thing. These big companies are trying to get these big publishers all under their belt, and they're trying to just secure content for their platforms no matter what. And then without all three being on the table, no monopoly, total fair game. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean it's not going to happen in general because first of all, remember back in the '90s, Microsoft already dealt with their monopolization lawsuits back in the '90s over Windows. That's what it was, over Windows, right? So I know that this company is not going to put themselves in a position for a second time when it comes to anything monopoly related. Again, these are smart guys. They got lawyers who understand all this stuff better than we ever would. They make I'm a novice in this stuff. They hire expert lawyers and people who understand this stuff, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Microsoft
yeah.
is playing chess big time. Yeah, of course, man. That's
Sure.
how it is. Again, like I said, we don't know what they're working on right now. We didn't know
Right.
Bethesda. We didn't know Activision. Hell, we didn't even know when they were picking up companies like Ninja Theory back in 2018. So let's stop sitting here and act like Microsoft is going to is priced out of anything else until this Activision deal goes through, which I'd be wagered to bet is not even true.
Right.
Hey, you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, man. So anything else you want to add?
No, you're right. The only thing I can add is that people like, for example, like Jason Schreier, right? For example, he works for an outlet that deals with business and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But the thing is that he is a one of those guys that claims, right? I'm an Xbox guy. I'm a video game guy. When Bloomberg's really not about video games, right?
yes,
But
yeah,
you can see and tell by his actions how he does things, how he moves, how he reacts with certain things with companies like Sony or Nintendo, for example, versus the way he does things with Xbox. So
Right.
you know he has a bias, right? And
Mhm.
so since he has that bias, right, he tries to act like he don't have it, but he does because again, as soon as Microsoft, they were talking about that when he did that tweet about like you said that that they're gonna, I'm hearing ramblings that they're not gonna allow it to go through, that that's not gonna be possible, blah 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 blah, and yet the investors all came out 95%, like you said, that they're all down and they all wanted to go through, right?
Right. Right.
And then after that, he didn't say shit, right? He took down the tweet. He tried to act like he didn't say nothing. He does that all the time. But when
Yeah.
Sony bought, let's say Bungie, this is a fantastic move. Sony's making power moves. This makes perfect sense. This is better even than the Activision acquisition, which is ludicrous to say some shit like that because Bungie really only holds one IP, which is Destiny,
Yes.
right? And you
Yeah.
can't say that you couldn't compare that to something like Activision or Bethesda for that matter. That
Mhm.
makes no fucking sense. But he does it because inside he has that bias. He is obviously a more Sony centric fan and maybe even a Nintendo fan.
Yeah.
You know
And
what
you
I
want,
mean?
yeah, and you want to know something funny? He bought when it came to that Bethesda guy, the ex-employee. It turned out he hasn't been working for Bethesda for 3 years. That's what really made it funny.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
3 years, 3 years, and we're supposed to take his word for everything. And the media ran through it, ran with it like it
Yeah,
was absolute facts. Uh, uh,
yeah.
oh man, if there's any game that's going to be scrutinized this year more than anything, it's going to be Starfield.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Still going to be
And
one
he's
of the
gonna
biggest games.
and mark my words, Unlimited. Mark my words.
Hmm.
It's going to be that, especially if Starfield does good critical numbers, like the
Hmm.
Metacritic comes out and the reviews come out and it's positive, it'll get scrutinized even more because then the hate is gonna really show because they're like fuck this shit because they don't want Microsoft to have any success because Microsoft, they see it as a threat because they don't want their baby Sony to go nowhere. But they
Yeah.
don't understand that this is nothing new. This happens. This happens in the industry. That's why we saw the likes of, Sega move away and Atari because
Hmm.
it happens. Once the money runs out and it's not working and the business is not profitable anymore, changes have to be done. Companies have to close down. They have to sell to different companies and divide their divisions. It happens, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
this is Sony's own fault. This is not Microsoft's doing. This is not Nintendo's doing. This is not the gamers doing. It's all Sony's fault because of the arrogance and the selfish practices
Hmm.
that they have had through all the years of doing business in the gaming industry.
Right.
It's nobody's fault but Sony that they're in the position they're in right now, right?
Yes. Exactly.
Just like all the problems that they faced, for example, with things like things like you know with the PS5, for example, with the
Yeah.
hardware,
Yes.
is
Yes.
because
Yes.
they try to rush it out to compete with Microsoft and didn't do it the right way, taking their time, you know. And
Yeah.
still now they're still relying on PS4 still,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
you reminded me of something there, Hebot. You reminded me of something. The PS5 I mean, the PS4 is going to be supported until 2026. So where's
Yeah, yeah,
everybody who back in 2020 when Microsoft said that they're going to support Xbox One for 1 or 2 years, and even though they stopped production of Xbox One back in 2020, where's everybody saying that the PS4 is holding back gaming?
absolutely. The first thing you heard people say was, "Oh, we're not gonna get real next gen games because it's gonna be held back because they're trying to support
Yep.
the old console
Yep.
still." Right?
Even the fake comeback kid, crap gamer, was saying that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where's everybody now? That's 2026, 2026, and they're trying so hard to treat that PS4 like they did the PS2. Because remember, the PS2 was supported for a long ass time. I think until like 2010 or some crazy shit like that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
console supported for fucking ever too.
Yeah,
I,
they didn't want to stop the money coming in because the money was still coming in from that console because it had the biggest market.
yep,
Plus, you got to remember, Unlimited.
Hmm.
When a new console comes out because of price point, and in this case, because there was limited, quantities, right?
Yes.
People are not gonna rush out and worry about it if they still got a PlayStation and they can play those games.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? So they're not gonna stop making money on one end when they can't guarantee money on the other end. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? That's why right now the Xbox Series X is outselling the PS4, PS5 rather, because there's limited supplies and the Xbox hardware is more available or
Yeah.
readily available,
Yeah.
right?
Not only is it readily available, I do think that there is a sense that it's weird because even though most games are still playable on the last gen console, I do get a sense that people feel like the Series X is the Xbox to go. But
Right, right.
With PlayStation, there's still this sense of
Mhm.
even with the shortages, there's still this sense of I could rock my PS4 for a while, and
Right.
I think you talk about perception a lot. And this is gonna sound really weird, Hebot, but I think the
Mhm.
negative perception of the Xbox One is helping the Xbox Series X and
Yes,
S
yes.
because
Mhm.
because they're not looking back at the Xbox One fondly. They're looking like, oh man, that was the era Microsoft fucked up and all this shit. Now they see the Series X and X as, oh, this is the new Microsoft. This is the cool Microsoft. This is the Bethesda Activision Microsoft, and they want in. So
Right.
they do. People are not trying to keep hold on to their Xbox Ones as much as their PS4s, where they probably more fondly on it. I know it sounds weird, but
No, no,
I
no,
feel like
no, no. It's true. It's true.
yeah, I
Plus,
know yeah,
you know,
but
we got to
you
be
know
honest. The Bethesda acquisition made a big impact
yes,
because a lot of people play and like Bethesda games,
yes,
and now knowing that the future of their games are tied to the Xbox console,
hmm
they're not going to be like, well, I'm just going to play on PlayStation. No, they're going to get an Xbox. They're going to
yes,
do that. Plus the Game Pass situation where
yes,
Game Pass has made such a valuable and have given you so much value, buying the console itself, the preservation of having the
all your games
ability
playable.
playing your games from back compared for four
Hmm.
generations, the value of using your peripherals that go forward with you, right?
Yes, yes,
All that shit is going to help the perception and the decision of I'm gonna get an Xbox because
yes,
even though I'm a PlayStation guy, they're offering way too much on that side that I could just ignore or not be part of
yes, exactly, exactly.
because I play games, right? If I'm a gamer, I play games.
Yes,
It's the reason why, even though I don't like Sony, I'll still buy their console because there's certain games due to the stupidity and the nature of how a lot of Japanese developers do their business practices.
hmm
I can only play on a PlayStation or on a
right,
Nintendo for that matter. So
right.
that's why I own them. Does that mean that they're better? No. Does that mean that I'm not going to call out the bullshit? Of course not. Because I see the hypocrisy. And me
Hmm.
owning all the consoles gives me that liberty to be able to understand much more on a personal level that Microsoft is the place to be right now on
Yes,
the Xbox
yeah,
or on a Windows PC, right? You
hmm
cannot deny that,
yeah, and
right?
not only that, it's seamless integration between your devices,
Right.
like
The
the
seamless
PS and Xbox.
integration, the smart delivery, where they're not forcing you to pay for the upgrades unless those publishers themselves or
Don't
those
take that initiative.
developers are like, oh no, we're gonna charge you.
Yeah.
Like they did with the wrestling game.
Hmm.
Take two was like, oh no, we're gonna charge because they want to make money, right? They're being just greedy about it, right?
Yeah,
Or they
exactly.
want to make more money than they're gonna make anyway, because they're gonna make money regardless. They just want that more. Like, oh, we want more. We want more, like that greed type of mentality, right?
Right. And let
Um,
me
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and let me add to this, man. You remember when the Xbox One first came out and how a lot of people kept their 360s. It I think people are doing that with the PS4 and to the PS5 as well. Again, it's the shortages don't help, but I still think that people are okay. It's weird. They were because remember people were okay keeping their 360s. And
Right.
with the Series X, it feels like people want to jump on the Xbox Series X right now due to all that.
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I hate when I lose my train of thought. But the
No, no, it's okay.
yeah. But the point is still standing. Everything you're saying was spot on. I mean, Xbox has set themselves up in such a great position. He bought.
Look what Vaca just said. Yes, that's another great point that he's making. Vaca's saying that the market cap for Embracer as a whole to own is 7.5 billion.
Yeah.
Microsoft, if they had an offer where Embracer wanted to buy into them, they could easily give them 15 billion, 20 billion and own them too,
Yeah.
outright.
Yeah.
And they're not going to say no because they're making a third of what they own, what they're worth.
Yep.
So that's also a very good possibility
Yeah.
that Vaca's pointing out. So look, it's like we said, why we do these shows most of the time is because we want to talk about gaming, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the time it ends up being about us calling out the bullshit because it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
We see it, and it's clear as day. It's not like they even hide the shit. No, it's still there, and it's always from the usual suspects and from the ones that always try real hard to hate because they just don't want to see Microsoft succeed, like I said.
Right.
So we have it's our obligation to call it out because if we don't do it, they're sure as hell not gonna do it. And the ones that are Sony fanatics or even Nintendo fanatics, they're basically always gonna stick to their fucking company and they're never gonna put Microsoft on over them or give them credit, with the exception of maybe a selected few people. But the social media world with Twitter, with gaming, it's like 2 or 5% of the real world.
Yes.
And that's what people don't take to consideration and understand.
Right.
What we see, even though it's more in favor to, let's say, Sony or Nintendo, that's like 5% of the gaming market, or maybe 8%.
Right.
The real world is much broader when it comes to gaming. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's why the numbers don't equate to the lack to the sense of favoritism that PlayStation get. Because even though everybody always talks about PlayStation mainly in a positive way in social, when
Mm-hmm.
you see the numbers, it's Microsoft making all the money. They're
Yeah.
not making anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
which tells you that.
That's why Sony is copying a lot of their business models because
Mhm.
back in 2016, Phil said it. So you know it's not about the boxes; it's about the engagement. At the time,
The
people didn't
engagement.
understand that, but as we
Hmm.
come to see years later, they knew they were ahead of the game. Look, they got a lot of smart people who do research and everything on this stuff all the time, so they know
Yes.
what's bringing in the money. They know what's going to bring the success. They make acquisitions that make sense, and and that's why they're where they are. Where even though Xbox didn't sell as much as PlayStation, it's still valued more until recently, right? Sales wise, I mean, recently now that they're outselling the PS5 and stuff, right?
Yes.
So
Hmm.
so I mean, look, it's a at this point he bought right, and this is why I love talking with you, man, because you bring a lot of knowledge. But and and
I,
listen, yeah,
I
that
just try to bring the logic. That's it. I try to bring
yeah,
logic, which most people either try to ignore, put to the wayside, or act like it doesn't exist.
yeah.
I'm the one that always tries to bring the logic because it's there. And that's all I try to do. That's it. That's all I try
Right.
to do.
Yeah, Yasid Baez. I understand wanting the games come out, but that's going to happen anyway. No companies like Microsoft don't start making business deals. So definitely expect both. Um, uh, you know, the the second half, I'm feeling we're going to have an excellent second half of the year. The showcase in June is going to show a lot of progress with these Xbox games that we've seen and hey man, it's all everything's gonna be all good. Your seed by ass, trust me.
Well, look at Jazz Bass comment, and Jazz, you're right. You have a very good valid point. The problem though is because Jazz Bass is saying I want Microsoft not to acquire nobody else after the Activision deal is done and
Mhm.
concentrate on the games so that they could bring the teams to work properly to make good quality stuff. And you're absolutely right. But the problem is Microsoft still has gaps. of certain genres and developers
Right.
that they don't have, and
Yeah.
they need to try to fill all those gaps
Yep.
so they can cover all the genres.
But look,
And until they have that, they're not going to be able to really stop, because they can make other smaller acquisitions. Like I said to my son, I'm like, Microsoft, look, right now, Armature Studios has been very vocal that they want to make a Record 2,
right.
right? So why not buy somebody like Armature? Get them, pick them up. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, look, Avalanche Studios is making Contraband. Why not pick them up?
Exactly.
You know,
Another one that they make good open world action games.
Matt,
Acquire them.
Matt
Even
fantastic fucking game.
even fucking Asobo, they've done great work with Flight Simulator, with Plex Tales. Try to
Hmm.
acquire somebody like them, or Tomonobu Itagaki, the
Yeah.
world's greatest action developer, in my opinion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Based off his history, his credibility, and his resume, right, or his history and his background. He said, "I want to work with Xbox." Acquire him in his studio. Why not? Right? Or even fucking what the fuck is called? These guys. Fuck it. Platinum.
Yeah.
Platinum under their wing. Platinum can't fuck around, because
Yeah.
if they own them, they got to do right by Microsoft, right?
Hmm.
Acquire them, because my Platinum Games, with the right money behind them and the right guidance, right, and leadership that Microsoft tries to always present, right, to their teams. Platinum Games could become great again, the way they were in the days when they did Bayonetta and Beautiful Joe. You
Right.
know what I'm trying to say? Vanquish. They can go back to that greatness that I know they're capable of doing.
Hmm.
There's other good options that are powerful, that'll help them build the resume without them necessarily have to go for the bigger fish, like an EA, let's say, or like I don't know, a Tencent, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just going to say that I understand. Ever since the Bethesda deal, the perception of acquisitions has changed significantly.
Right,
It caused everybody to think in a larger scale,
right.
understandably so. But at the same time, there's still these smaller, there's still individual developers you could always pick up, Avalanche, Asobo, the long list we named. So it's not just an either or situation with Microsoft. Any studio they get bolsters their roster,
Yep.
which is gonna achieve their goal of what they've been saying they wanted forever, which is consistent content on Game Pass and Xbox and all that stuff. And
Hmm.
and oh, let me ask you one last thing before we wrap it up, 'cause I know it's almost like 11 p.m. where you are, so I know it's late as hell. But
No, we're good. We're good.
yeah, and let me just read Mr. Baez's comment here, then I'll ask you that question. But he said after the Bethesda Activision deal, I mean Blizzard Activision deal, would only need a team to build fighting games, and that piggybacks into what I was going to ask you, Hebot. Other than because they got the RPGs on lock, the shooters, the third person and
Hmm.
first person shooters on lock. They got a lot of genres unlocked.
Yeah.
What other type of games you think Xbox is missing? Fighting games, hack and
Well,
slash, whatever.
yeah, yeah. I'm more than glad to tell you. Well, the fighting game, they have the fighting game. The Killer Instinct is a good foundation, and Killer Instinct is one of the best fighting games that gets ignored
Hmm.
because of the fact that it's on Microsoft's console, right?
Right.
But they need to find a developer that can be in house, that can make any fighting game that they choose to make, right? Or
Yeah.
even partner up with, like if they did a crossover with, let's say, NetherRealm with a Mortal Kombat versus Killer Instincts, that would be fantastic, right? That would make a lot of sense, right?
Right.
But they need that, so they definitely need a studio for fighting games. Jazz Baz is right, and what I told you earlier, they need a studio like Crystal Dynamics,
Hmm.
which in that case you have, like I just told you, Tobunobu's fucking team,
Yes.
Platinum Games, Asobo, because you see the similarities with Plex Tales Innocence, right?
Hmm.
Or even Armature that did Recore. Recore is a good foundation for an action adventure game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has a lot of potential. So
Hmm.
if they acquire these guys, they can cover all those genres that they need which, and like I told you, they need that action adventure game like the Tomb Raiders and the Uncharted, which, so remember, they might even have it because they're making Indiana Jones, but we haven't seen
Yeah.
it yet.
Oh yeah. That's oh man.
So we
Excellent.
don't know, right?
One.
Right?
Yeah.
We're just
Excellent
assuming.
one.
We don't know. They might well have found the team that can do it if Indiana Jones comes out to be as good
Yeah.
as it should be, right?
Right. Who's making Indiana Jones again? I forgot.
Right. Well, it's like it's just there's so many titles you it's easy to forget, right? Um Also the other genre is a hack and slash, like the Ninja Gaidens, the like the Ninja Blades, like I told you, like From Software had did, or like that, so they could do something like God of War or Devil May Cry, for example. They need those three. Once they get those three genres with a good team that's in house, that they can take turns, and one year they make a hack and slash, one year they make an action adventure, one year they make an action platformer, one year they make a fighter. It's going to make it easier in process for them to alleviate the weight from all the other developers doing other stuff like RPGs, or like strategy games, or like 2D side scrollers, or like first person shooters, or like shoot and runs like Gears of War. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or because they already have that unlock. A Valve, Fable, the new Arrowing, Starfield. They already have those unlocked.
Yeah.
So they need to get a fighting team, so they don't have to be relying on these Japanese fighting teams that, you know, they love to only make games. Like Arc System Works loves making those 2D side scrollers and only put them on PlayStation only, right? Like with Guilty Gear, for example, or with Blaze Blue, for example.
Yeah.
They need an internal house, so that way they don't have to rely on and have to worry about, well, who do we have to pay to make these games for us? Because that's the biggest issue. Because Iron Galaxy,
That's the issue. That's the issue last generation.
that's right, and that's why we haven't seen. That's why we haven't seen a fucking Killer Instincts. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like All In, just say the All In channel, my brother Sega Forever. Sega, if they buy somebody like Sega, Sega can bring all those unique ideas and IPs and that they would do all the time back in the day, and even through the 360 era, where they made a bunch of games that a lot of people didn't even try out.
Oh
Like,
man, them Sega games were awesome. Alpha Protocol.
yeah, but they made a lot of new
Viking.
IPs
Yeah.
on the 360 era that a lot of people didn't try, like The Cave, like Hell Yeah,
You remember Alpha Protocol? That Viking
Alpha Protocol,
Oh, man,
Binary Domain,
Yes.
Hell Yeah,
Yeah.
Renegade Ops, right?
The most
Renegade Ops,
underrated era.
Aliens Isolation.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. The Sega's most underrated era.
Vanquish, Bayonetta.
Vanquish.
That's all
Yes,
Sega
yes,
stuff that
yes.
they did with other developers. They buy Sega, that they have a plethora of IPs that they can bring back, that are all unique in their own right, that are all beloved, right? That they all would have no limitations because of the purse that Microsoft is able to provide and the guidance, right? Um, you know what I'm saying? Because they have, like Jazz Bass also pointed out, they have things like Ninja Theory. Yes, Ninja Theory can do a hack and slash because they did it with DMC, which is a very good game, even though it was different in the feel of the. Right? It felt more punk than gothic, right? But it was still an amazing game, right? But Ninja Theory by themselves can't do continuously a bunch of games back to back to back, right? That are in those genres. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why I said they need to find more developers to fill that gap, so they can alleviate the weight from the other developers and give them a rest, so they can have time and opportunities to have that creative process, right? So they can come up with new ideas and new worlds and new game characters and new stories with great gameplay mechanics, and concentrate on the quality that those games offered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have more people that you can rely on and more options, it's going to alleviate the weight from the people that already can cover it. That's why I
Exactly.
think.
And you
That's
know
why.
what? Sorry to cut you off, but
No, no,
let
no.
me give you an example. That for us RPG lovers, Avowed, Fable, Starfield.
Yeah.
Starfield's going to hold us out until Avowed, which I'm still predicting is going to be shown this year and come out next year. I have my gut feeling is just telling me that. Then after
Right.
Avowed's going to hold us out to Fable.
Right.
So now Obsidian has plenty of time to finish the Outer Worlds too, because for us RPG fans, we got we got three other RPGs we're going to handle. So if they
Right.
could get, like you said, if they could get a Sega, and then Sega starts cranking out an Xbox version of Bayonetta that could hold us over until whenever Ninja Theory does a hack and slash game or
Right.
something.
Right.
So
Hmm.
excellent point there, man. Excellent
Yeah,
point.
because real quick to add before we close out, you that's the reason why I feel that you see these Sony IPs or games, they're starting to kind of dwindle down
Yeah.
in the quality aspect of it, because their teams are all doing the same thing, and they've been
Yeah.
doing the same thing over and over and over again, and haven't really gotten a rest from it,
Yeah.
right?
Not
And
only have they
so,
not look at Insomniac, Spider-Man, Wolverine. I mean, just
mhm,
Ratchet and Clank, just more action adventure, third person game,
yeah,
nothing
yeah,
creative, nothing unique. And then there's it's everybody. But let's be honest, and this is why another reason why the PS5 people are fine with their PS4. Horizon 2 isn't much different from Horizon 1. There's no real
right.
look.
But that's what I'm saying.
There's no Starfield on there's no Xbox One version of Starfield that's going to have
Right.
an Xbox fan, that be like, I could pass. No, no, this
Shit,
is this.
there's no real games on PlayStation that's like Gears, or that's like Quantum
Yeah,
Break, or that's like Rise for that matter, or that's
yeah,
like Sunset, or that's like Loco Cycle, or that's like Killer Instincts, or
yeah,
even Halo for that matter,
yeah,
right? They
and,
don't
and,
really have it. And
yeah,
that's why all their games have that same feel and formula. And
yeah.
I really think it's starting to reflect on their developers. They're
And it's wearing people out. People are getting sick and tired. For example, today I saw that there's a remake of The Last of Us. This is the third fucking time that they're going to
Yes.
show the same
Yes.
people. People do not want to buy the same
And you
thing
know what that
3
is,
times.
Unlimited. You know what that is. That's a desperate act, because
Yep.
they know the game is popular and it can still make the money if they re-skin it again
Yeah.
and sell it to them, because it's less money they spend but still bring in money to them. Or at
Yep.
least that's what they're hoping. But remember, people are going to get tired of that as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
they
like
already are. I mean,
like
that's
Others Inc. just said too. They don't have real multiplayer games. That's why they're
no.
hiring all these people and bought that
Destiny developer.
and bought that developer from the girl Amy Hennings. I think
Yeah.
the one
Oh,
that
that's
did
right. That's right.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. A Jade. Yeah.
Haven
Yeah.
Studio.
Yeah.
Where
From
they've
Jade.
already said that all their games are going to be multi-platform heavy, or multiplayer heavy, and that's going to be concentrating on making multi-platform games or multiplayer games, right?
You know what? You brought up a good point, and let me expand on that. Um, the Sony formula is definitely a catch 22 for them, because the Sony
Yeah.
fan base clearly don't gravitate towards multiplayer games, and I mean Sony multiplayer games. Because if you look at that what was that racing game failed.
Yeah.
That what was that one. Also, it was some Destruction All Stars. That shit failed.
Destruction's All Stars. Yeah.
Even though all the PS fanboys pretended they liked it for like 36 seconds, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and
For
it's weird.
36 days.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird because you see it's weird, as E-Rock always said, a paradigm shift, right? And
Right.
and
Hmm.
I wanted to say when you were earlier, the reason why when I got back into gaming and got my first Xbox One, the reason I went with
Yes.
Xbox One over the
Sunset
PS4,
Overdrive. Yeah.
yeah, Sunset Overdrive and
You
the
said that
diversity.
story plenty of times, and
Yeah,
nobody could say otherwise. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Sunset Overdrive, something that's it not something it was different from Microsoft, especially. And then around that time, I got Rise. That was different from Sunset Overdrive. Dead Rising
Hmm.
2, a horror game, different from Rise. A Killer Instinct, a fighting game, different from Dead Rising. Meanwhile,
Yes.
PlayStation relied on Bloodborne, then the remastered of of Uncharted, which they resold Uncharted again on the PS5.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they also had the remaster at that point of Last of Us One, if you
yes,
remember,
yeah, yeah.
the 60 frame version.
Yeah, Sony reselling. Look, Sony is not doing. Look. Sony's not doing the consumers any favor by keep reselling the same shit over and over in the
Yeah.
era of Xbox free backwards compatibility, right?
Well, I
And not
think they're
only that,
also blocking the creativity of the
yes,
developers.
yeah, that's exactly where I was going with the Heatbot. Not only
Okay,
that,
okay.
they're so obviously mandating these studios to make the same shit over and over.
Hmm.
One genre. They make one genre, third person action
Well,
adventure.
they said if you remember, I think it was Jim Ryan said, "This is what we make," and Sean Layden said at one point, "That's what we make best, so we're going to continue to make them." Yeah, you could continue
Yeah,
to make them, but
terrible idea.
broaden your portfolio and
Yes,
broaden your genres, right?
yes. This is what
So
Phil
that it
Spencer
feels more
understood.
robust.
Yeah, this is what Phil Spencer understood, where he got Undead Labs, State of Decay guys,
Yes,
who
another one that we
yeah,
forgot.
you
State of
know
Decay
me.
three.
Look, I've been defending State of Decay
Oh
since
yeah, yeah,
day
yeah. You've
fucking
always
one.
said you love State of
Yeah,
Decay. Yeah,
yeah, I
absolutely.
love that game. Words could not explain how much I love State of Decay, especially State of
Hmm.
Decay 2, and can't wait for a third one, right? So that's different from what Ninja Theory does, and that's different from what Compulsion Games does, and that's different from what In Exile does. You know,
Yep,
you know,
it's just different as a fresh take.
yeah, yeah, and then
It
the
even feels
Bethesda game.
different. I'm sorry. It even feels different when you compare it to something like Dead Rising. It's different than that too.
Yeah, oh
Even
yeah.
though it's in the zombie genre, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
You're absolutely right.
The Dead Rising games, Dead Rising was more, more they threw the hordes of zombies at you, while
Hmm.
with State of Decay is more survival. You need to keep your survivors happy and satisfied as well as
Right.
killing zombies and stuff. So yeah, man. Oh yeah, and like other Zinc said, remake of Demon Souls. I mean, the
Yeah.
PlayStation at this
Yeah.
point is the
Mhm.
remake station because
Well,
that's
I'll be
all
honest with you. Other Zinc and Unlimited and fellas in the chat. I'll be honest with you. Microsoft should also do a little of that as well.
Yeah.
They
I
should
mean,
remake.
you're right. You're right because they
They
got
should
so many
remake.
IPs.
Let me. So you can understand where I'm coming from.
Okay.
They should remake IPs were that had a lot of potential, right? Like back in the day, like Blinks, right? Do a brand new one for this generation, right? Because
Yeah.
we have an action platformer team now in Double Fine, right?
Yes.
Let let them make remakes of, like, say, Bloodwake,
Yeah.
or a remake of, let's say, Torque,
Yeah.
or even Hydro Thunder, because they own Hydro Thunder.
Yeah.
A boat racing game in the caliber and quality of Forza Horizon. You see,
Yeah.
they can let them Playground
They,
Games
they make a
actually make
variety.
a fucking Hydro Thunder like Forza, but with boats.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Xbox got the variety now to do
Mm-hmm.
remakes. Sony doesn't. The problem with Sony remakes is that The Last of Us came out in 2013. Then in
Mm-hmm.
2015, they did a remaster. Now, 10 years later, they're doing a remake on their third generation in a row. That's some
Right.
GTA shit.
They've
And
done
people
it
are
in
sick
every
of GTA
generation.
5.
Unlimited. They've done it every single generation. They've always started that generation with a bunch of older stuff, trying to reintroduce it and remaster it and repackage it until they got their hands on the newer stuff, and then release and then get fame and praises for it, when that's not the way it's supposed to be.
I
That's
mean, it's not.
bullshit.
Yeah, it's not going to work this gen though. It's not going to work
Yeah, yeah.
because
I don't think so either.
Microsoft's
I don't
got
think so
over
either.
30 studios working on 60 plus games.
My
It's a
dude, my
completely
guy,
different
we got
mindset.
things like Redfall. We haven't even seen Scorn on the Xbox yet, or Bright Memory Infinite,
Yeah.
or even things like what was the other one? That 2D side scroller looks really dope that's coming out.
Rebound or something like that.
Rebound, and even the other one, the Last Night, looked incredible, and they
Yeah.
said they're still doing that. Harold Halibut, for Christ's sakes, things like that are unique and different.
Hmm.
Even like Artful Escape, that's
Oh
still
yeah.
only on Xbox. It's
Yeah.
still only on Xbox, right? Check
Hmm.
this out. It's still only on Xbox, yet you never see really people talking about it. But I guarantee you, the minute that it goes to the Switch, or the minute that it goes to the PlayStation, like they did with The Ascent,
Yes.
everybody's gonna want to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. And look. my rare criticism of Microsoft: do please start releasing these games physically more, because I think that's why.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it-
You get an applause for that one.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm
My,
1000% with you.
yeah, Microsoft got a weird mandate where you need X amount of copies physically printed, and
Mhm.
so a number of distributors don't order them, but
Didn't they just say,
they're leaving
didn't they
money on
just
the.
say, I'm sorry.
No, no, what are you saying?
No, I was going to say they just released that Psychonauts 2 sold the most from any Double Fine game and had the
Yeah,
most success,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now you telling me this is not a great time to capitalize on that and put a copy on the
Game of the Year
floor
edition.
shelves of Psychonauts 2 and let
Oh,
it come
yeah,
with a copy of Psychonauts 1
yes,
back compat that you can play it that comes with the game.
yeah,
It would be a
exactly.
perfect it would be a perfect pick a perfect pack in, and people can play the first game and the second game and
Yes.
and own it
Call,
physically. You
yeah,
see?
call it a Game of the Year edition, man, and boom,
Mhm.
right there. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Microsoft. That's my real criticism, is that I think with these smaller games, because I enjoyed the Artful Escape quite a bit. I
Mhm.
just think it would have been better if it also had some form of physical release, so that people like me could see it in stores and like, oh, this game look cool, and
Well,
pick
that's
it
what
up for
I'm
20 bucks.
saying because when you go up to the store, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of games on our Xbox, like Crimson Dragon, right?
Yeah.
Even Loco Cycle. Have you ever played Loco Cycle?
Oh yeah, yeah, man, yeah. I don't think you remember. I think you gifted me that game.
Oh, okay. It's an amazing, fun little game with mad unique, with a bunch of variety of gameplay. It's so different, right? So
Mm-hmm.
different. Is it a fucking $100 million banger? No. But what it is a fucking game like we talked earlier, very serviceable, a lot of fun, funny as fuck with funny
Mm-hmm.
ass dialogue, and
Yeah,
has very good gameplay mechanics and variety of gameplay mechanics with a story. And it's
yeah.
a single player game on top of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And those are games, right, channel. It was fantastic. I love the game. That was by Twisted Pixels, for example,
Yeah.
like Comic Jumper. Comic
Mm-hmm.
Jumper is still only available only on Xbox. It's not even
Yeah.
on PC.
Yeah.
It's not even
And
on PC.
right. And I don't understand. What I think for games like Local Psycho and Comic Jumper, bundle them up as a collection or something and sell them for about
Absolutely.
20 to
Absolutely.
40 bucks, and boom.
And it's nostalgia at the same time. People
Yeah.
give you're gonna give people, because if nostalgia works for Nintendo, right?
Uh-huh.
And nostalgia works for Sony, why the fuck not dive into that market also? Let
Yes.
it work for Xbox as well. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Exactly.
We're not
Eh,
saying go crazy and put all money on older games. No, but if you want to reintroduce certain titles like Torque, like Comic Jumper, like the fucking Blood Wake, like fucking Blinks, and you want to do it right, do it with the quality that they did with Ratchet and Clank. Bring it out and bring a new game and introduce it, and
yes.
it's gonna do well because the nostalgia is working. People want to play old games because now they realize there were a lot of old games that they never played, right? How
Uh-huh.
many people said? How many fucking people said, "Yo, Marlo Briggs is fire. I didn't even know this game existed."
Yeah.
And Marlo Briggs is basically God of War with a black
Black
protagonist,
dude. Yeah.
and that shit was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can make a sequel with more money, more budget, and that shit'll be fire.
Mm-hmm.
You see what
Yep.
I'm trying to say? You
Yeah.
can make that game and it will be fucking fire, and it's an Xbox IP.
Yes. You know what? And Daya, hey, think. Oh, by the way, I forgot to shout out All In channel.
Yeah,
Daya 4568. Thank you for joining. And anybody else? Other Zinc. Everybody, thank you for joining. But yeah, he said this: Xbox have an Xbox great collection and sell some classics. Exactly.
exactly.
Remember, Rare Replay was a huge success. 30,
Oh yes, it
30 games
was.
for $30.
Oh yes, it
It was like
was.
30 games for $30, if I'm not mistaken, and that was a
Still one
brilliant
of my
marketing.
favorite collections to this day.
Yeah, yeah, it's an excellent collection. Do something like that.
Mhm.
Xbox collection. And give us, a solid 20 to 30 games at a good price, like 30 to 40 bucks, and
Mhm.
rank in the bank.
I honestly feel sometimes like Microsoft's marketing department don't realize how many opportunities or golden opportunities with some gems that they have. Like we
Yes.
said, like a Marlo Briggs, like a Comic Jumper, like a new Local Psycho, like a new Blinks, Bloodwake, things, Hydro Thunder, whatever, that can actually make them money at a lower cost with high quality.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have a lot of golden tickets that they can use, right?
Hmm.
For Willy Wonka factory, right?
Yeah.
And it just seems like they don't think or they don't realize that it's there. Almost like Sega with all the games they have, and they
Oh,
always keep making
yeah.
the same Genesis collection,
Yeah,
but they
and
won't make a
that is
Sega Saturn
frustrating.
collection.
That is so frustrating.
But won't
They
make a Sega Saturn
or
collection. Like, are you
Dreamcast
serious?
or a Dreamcast collection or something,
Right.
man. And not only do they do a Genesis collection, they put the same games too. So it's
Oh
not like we
yeah.
get something.
Like if the Genesis didn't have a whole shitload of great games, like
Yeah,
Ranger X, like Alicia Dragoon, like Mystic Defender, so many games that that nobody even played or remembers that were amazing
yeah.
that they
Gunstar
can put in those
Heroes.
collections.
Gunstar
Green,
Heroes. I don't think that's ever been in collection. That was a great game.
or Green Dog. You know what I mean? The Surfer Dude or Shakan, the Forever Man. You know what I mean? They had so many games and they never put them in these collections. Like, man, what are you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, all in a brand new Cameo, a sequel to Cameo. Why not? Cameo 1 is amazing. Make a
Yeah.
sequel to Cameo. Absolutely. Why not? That's what I'm saying. They need to also capitalize on that nostalgia factor
Yes.
and make more platformers like a Ratchet or like, a Psychonauts
Hmm.
because there's a market for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a market for it. Make or get a team to create a brand new game in this day and era, like since it's been kind of like a resurgence of beat 'em ups.
Hmm.
Make a new 3D quality beat 'em up game where you can play online, like Streets of Rage, or like Urban Reign from back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, and make one for Xbox. New. Those are also genres that deserve to be revisited.
Yes.
You know, and it'll be for a cheaper cost, not really a big risk. You can always put them on Game Pass because we get all the exclusive day and day, and they'll
Hmm.
be it'll get an audience. It'll get that engagement like we talk about all the time, and it'll help sell. And then if it does well, like the way the Psychonauts did, make a nice little bundle, Game of the Year edition, like you said, make a physical copy, even if it's limited, or do it by pre-order.
Yeah.
Do it by pre-order. If you want the game physical, pre-order at your local GameStop at the Windows Store, and we're gonna do it by pre-order. Whoever pre-order gets the game. After the pre-order shuts off, closes down, then you can't get it anymore. You know what I mean? Do something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's risk-free and it's only done based on how many people really want it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you give the fans what they want, and you don't have to worry about, we're gonna have all these games left in the shelves collecting dust and they're not gonna sell. You see what I'm saying? They don't have to worry about
Hmm.
that. There's
Yeah.
many options in the days we live in today.
Yes.
They
Yes.
look,
Yes.
look, all in going in. Look, all in
Yeah.
going
I
in. Look,
know,
look.
man. He
He
naming
says
all the
Shining
classics.
Force 3, Vector
Director
Man,
man.
Nights into Dreams, Burning
Burning
Rangers. You
Rangers. Woo!
see, he's being a savage. He's being a savage.
And there's look for those of you who don't know, All In Channel used to be called Sega Forever for a reason. This dude
Right.
knows his Sega.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those are all titles that Sega or an acquisition like Sega can bring to the forefront to Microsoft's portfolio.
Yeah.
That's why I've always said that it would make sense, the relationship with Sega and them, because what Sega needs right now is the right financial backing.
Hmm.
That's why they just keep bringing out the same thing, because that is their that's their guaranteed move. In
Yeah.
other words, they'll keep bringing out Sonic because they're looking at, like that Origins collection. It's the same 1, 2, and 3, just
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
a little bit of differences and stuff, because they know it's a safe bet. They'll make money off of it. They don't
Hmm.
take risk and chances because it's almost like they're afraid because they don't have a lot of money.
Yes.
So
And
bring in somebody like Sega, give them that financial freedom and that financial, you know,
backing.
um, backing, And I guarantee you, the skies would be the limits.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not rocket science. It's and it's all in the palm of their hands. They have to make those types of moves because people like Sony, people like Transcend, Embracer, they're going to make those moves. Embracer has a bunch of awesome titles coming out from a bunch of developers from this year to next year. Like I said,
Yes.
Evil West, Space Marines 2, Gungrave, Gungrave,
Yes.
so many fucking dope, unique, smaller games, and they're going to be, overshadowed by these bigger games because they don't have the backing of a Microsoft. Because Embracer is not a Microsoft. They don't understand the industry of gaming the way Microsoft does. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I said that it kind of sucks because Crystal Dynamics hopefully will bring some type of awareness, and Eidos Montreal will bring some type of awareness to the Embracer Group, and more people will start buying the games they published and produce and bring out.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to do a little more research in the Embracer Group because they got so many damn companies.
Oh my God, the developers and the game and the titles. When you look at all they got 12,000 employees that they just acquired.
That's crazy.
From fucking Square Enix, just with all the American developers. I'm like,
that's crazy. Yeah, man.
It is retarded.
I still got more faith in Embracer Group than what Square was doing to them because.
I think Embracer Group will definitely treat them like I said. It's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons.
Yeah.
The fact that Embracer got them at least we'll know that they have money.
Mm-hmm.
At least we know that they'll be multi-plat. We won't get skipped. We won't get skimped. Well, at least we'll know we'll get a physical copy of it.
Yes.
And at least they're not going to get treated like they're secondhand garbage the way that Square has kind of adopted to all those American developers to this point.
I mean, it was getting ridiculous. Outriders has a great success on Game Pass, then that's thrown under the bus. Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't meet expectations. Go to Game Pass, has great success. The Tomb Raider trilogy, Rise of the Tomb Raider is completely funded by Microsoft. Doesn't meet expectations, even though it was massively successful.
Right. On Xbox alone.
Yeah.
Before it came out to PlayStation and even PC, because I still have that tweet or that article where Aaron said it himself. Yeah. It sold 7.5 million units on Xbox One.
Crazy.
On PlayStation 4, when it went to PS4, it only sold like 1.2 million.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, did you see how badly they hated that game? So there's no secret why it didn't sell when it went to PlayStation.
They treated it like fuck you. You didn't give it to us. So fuck yeah. That's how they treated it.
Absolutely. Tomb Raider betrayed us and all this weird goofy shit. As if it was weird because it was so clear that the game was going to be episodic until Microsoft came and funded it. And
that was even a questionable thing. That was what they were going to try to do. That wasn't even a guaranteed thing, And thank God to Microsoft because they saved the IP,
Yeah, exactly. And then, but yet, that don't matter. You know how it is with Sony fans. When a game that they feel was established on PlayStation goes, even though it didn't start on PlayStation, but they don't know their history like that. But when they feel like a game goes multi-plat, they feel like they betrayed. Final Fantasy when it went to Xbox.
Right. Oh, they feel like, it's not going to have the quality because it's going to be multi-plat. Like, fuck you, dude. Yeah. Since when multi-plat became less quality than a fucking exclusive? Are you crazy? There's multi-plats right now that have bigger quality than exclusives. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, shut up.
Exactly.
You sound retarded. You sound stupid. Yeah. You sound uneducated.
Yeah.
Those are facts. Those are facts.
Exactly, man. So overall, it's mostly good news for us. I think we feel like the ideal situation for damn near any dev these days is being purchased by Microsoft.
Right. That's what I said. That's the selfish part in our side, because in an ideal world, like you said it so eloquently, yes, I wish Microsoft would have bought Crystal and at least Eidos Montreal.
Yes, because
you know what I mean. Because I think it would have been a very good fit with developers like Ninja Theory.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
and look, All In said a very good statement. Go back to one of the statement he put. He had a very good
Different.
point. He said, don't worry, the Embracer Group is financially motivated. Best case scenario for Xbox, and I expect them to be in Game Pass. I'm going to do a video on it. Basically, what he's saying is that the best case scenario is that they can make deals with Embracer and
Yeah.
have these games on Game Pass for us, the Xbox fans, which is a very good point.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
very good. Yeah,
Yeah, do that video, goddammit. I'm
yeah,
tired
yeah,
of not
man.
seeing you do some quality shit. Like you don't say nothing. You stay quiet.
Hey, I don't know. He's always interacting with me on Twitter, man. So he's a little
Yeah,
more
no,
active
no.
than
I'm
you
talking
think.
about videos on his channel. He doesn't do video. He does good videos. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
and
Always.
I miss
Always.
his videos. I miss watching his videos. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, 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 man. Hey, man. I think we're gonna wrap it up there, But this
That
was an
sounds good. No, I think
this
we
was
had a good time, and this was good hour
yeah,
and 40 minutes that we
yeah,
put in.
yeah, exactly. Excellent discussion. It actually went longer than I expected, to be honest with you. But that's how it is, man. It's always great to talk with you. Always great to hang out. The chat was fantastic today. I mean, I've said it before, and I
Yeah,
say
the
it
chat's
again.
always wonderful. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think they're more active at this time because since it's later, a lot of people are home relaxing, hearing
yeah,
us out, and that's why they're so active, which is great. I'm not
yeah.
complaining. It's
No,
great.
no, not at all. I know it's a little later than usual. No, it's a little
Yeah.
later than usual. So I was a little worried that, that I was a little too late for people. But hey, they showed up and
Well,
they added a hell of a lot to the discussion.
for me, I thank you because
Hmm.
you're making my life a little easier. Well, a lot easier because at nighttime I'm much more readily available
Oh,
than
okay.
I am during the day and during the
Yeah.
middle of the day, with
Hmm.
the exception of like maybe the weekends, because the weekends
Right.
I dedicate to my family. That's
Right.
why
Right.
a lot of times I can't even join 100 on his podcast on Saturday
Yeah.
night. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. I
involved with
understand.
my family. And to be honest, I'm doing family night a lot of times on Saturdays. Like we'll watch movies, like two or
Right.
three
Yeah.
movies
Yeah.
back to
As you
back.
should. As you
Right.
should.
Which I'm not gonna, you know, ignore that for to be with my friends from the video game. Not that I don't love and appreciate my video game brothers, but
Nah. Nah, man.
I love my
Take care of
time
your
with my
family.
family, and it's
Yeah.
important more than anything else in the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Always. Always. Always take care
you
of
know
your
how that
family,
is.
man. You
Or
know
we'll
this.
play video games together and discuss it. Me and my boys, late Saturday nights. That's the only reason. But during the week, since it's not the same way,
Hmm.
you know, it's because you got to get ready for the next day. You got to get
Yeah.
up, and it's very easy for me to come in for an hour and a half, and talk with you.
Yeah.
Because I used to do it with Sega Man all the time. Whenever he did them,
Hmm.
I would come in. He'd be doing podcasts at like 2 in the morning my time because of he's in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But I
Oh,
would still
that's
be
right. He
able to,
actually is.
but I would still be able to swing it because it was very late night and I was already home. I wasn't
Yeah.
busy.
Right. Right.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
See,
you
yeah,
doing
for
it
me,
at this time for me. Yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate
oh
it, man.
yeah. Hey man, look. I saw an opportunity. I was like, hey man, I haven't done a one-on-one in a while, so I hit you up. I was like, hey
No, yeah, I
man,
told you anytime.
let's talk about this real quick. And
Yes.
ended up being a hell of a discussion. And then for me, for me, I'm an early bird. For example, I start working at 6 in the morning. So
Right.
I'm about to shut it down when we're done here.
Right. Right.
Because and I get off of work early since I start work early.
And you
So
got to
that
get some
that
sleep.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to get
Yeah,
rest.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
So that's why my timetable is more in the afternoon. But with that said, everybody, again, thank you for joining us. You guys have a great week. The unlimited truth will return when the truth is needed. So who knows what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? But with that, everybody enjoy, and we are out.